Htp family, you're tuning into the pro-black perspective on KWAZ radio. Today is, of course, as you know, the weekly Warship. This one is week 3, November. If you're interested in joining as I read over just 6 pages, feel free to use the link in the description. I'm just going to double check the audio is working, and yes it is. Feel free to use the link in the description. And of course, if you want to read along, obviously download or purchase yourself a copy. This is going to be, hopefully it's only going to be a short one. I know some people like to listen to longer podcasts, but of course, if you don't remember, I think it was yesterday, we had a brainstorm. So if you want to hear something longer, definitely go to yesterday's podcast on the brainstorm that I was preparing for and engage that one. I'm requesting inside of that one for writers so that we can plan through a sort of let's say a slide, a Google Slides kind of thing. Yeah, Google Slides, I guess, but I don't know what they call PowerPoint presentation. That's what they used to call it when I was younger. We want to collaborate on a PowerPoint presentation that could access the masses and transform the consciousness of our people. Because what you're going to do today is you're going to see the greatest orators of our past. And the thing is this, that the reason why they were so successful is because their oratory and their organizing was so successful. All right? There are matters that make a people advance, right? Organizing is one of them. All right? Organizing, military, technology, those are the things that drive a people forward. All right? And so what we have to do is we have to engage our people on that same level, so that and we have to bring it to our people, because we have to let them understand these 3 tenets for their advancement. So we're going to move forward. It says, do you wish to be buried near your remains of your Baba? Until you have chased tyranny and exacted revenge, you cannot be buried here. No, their bones would push away yours. So this is Jean-Jacques Dessalines. And Jean-Jacques Dessalines is asking the people, do you want to be buried near your Baba? Near the remains of your Baba. And it's the question is this, because one thing that we do is that we tend to want to be, buried beside our parents, right? But we don't want to earn that burial. Okay? We want to say, oh, well, I was close to you in life, I want to be close to you in death. But the reality is that if our parents are suffering from these enemies, from our enemies, if we have not chased away their tyranny of our enemies or have exacted revenge, then how can we have earned the right to be buried near them? Now, I'm not to say that, you're not going to get buried near them, right? But if you're going to be, especially if your parents were against them, right? How dare you? How dare you sleep beside them, having done no more than them for the liberation of your people? So what I'm saying is that you have to earn your burial plot. This is what Dessalines was saying too. You have to earn your burial plot. Earn the right to be preserved on this planet. All right? Earn the right to be near your esteemed ancestors. You don't think just because you celebrated their birthday or just because you showed up, to their game or like say you just ate their food at their house. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that's enough to say, you know what, I deserve to be here. Because what you deserve is what you earned. And just being the child of your parents is not something that you earn per se. All right? You have to know who the enemies are and chase away their tyranny and exact revenge. You understand? However that may manifest. A lot of respect Some people will interpret exacting revenge as going after Wazungu wherever he is, and that's fine. If you have that in you, certainly you can earn yourself a burial plot. Certainly, but if we're talking about the chasing away of tyranny and exacting the revenge, Wazungu's time is coming. If we organize, militarize, and technologize ourselves, okay, Wazungu's time is coming, but that's why you have to play your part in that future. But right now, too many of us are not playing our part, and because we're not playing our part, things are not looking as positive as they should. We're going to go to the next one. This just says, swear at last to eternally pursue all traitors and enemies of your independence. So this is what Jean-Jacques Dessalines was telling the people of Haiti. He was telling them that you have to, and this is why I said, look, make sure you check out this make sure you check out the Book of Power, all right? Because this whole Dessalines speech is just, fire, 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 fire. But right here, he says, swear at last to eternally pursue all traitors and enemies of your independence. This is something that a nation, this is a national declaration. Okay? This is what an African nation, the Empire of Freedom, that's what IT was called. This is what they had proclaimed. This was the intent of IT. To eternally pursue all traitors and enemies of our independence. But look at what's going on in Africa right now. One of the things that was interesting about the platform yesterday, right? The platform yesterday, the brainstorm yesterday, was that at least a few people were saying, let's give deference to our local communities. Let's give deference to the wisdom of our people on the ground, right? And the reality is this: that if the wisdom of the people on the ground is not pursuing traitors and enemies of our independence, right? Then being loyal to the wisdom on the ground is going to lead you to where you are right now. You understand? Because there's so, what we have to understand is the national configuration of things, and I was pressed for time yesterday, so I couldn't really articulate much because, one of the things about, we have to realize that, debate, there's a time for debate, there's a time for mobilizing, organizing in a sense, And if you're debating while you should be organizing, right? Or if you're organizing while you should be debating, it's just not the right time. All the same, what we have to realize is that we have to come in based off of what we can, like. It's always like, I guess another thing I can admit was that a lot of the people who wanted to debate kind of showed up a little later and didn't really get the point where I said, we have to go by what's in our hands. A part of the brainstorm was to give deference to the people present. And if you cannot give deference to the people present are the people that were in the hand, in a sense. You can't, and that's the thing that we tend to do. We tend to want to give deference to things that are not in our hands, and that's where we fall apart. It's like if I say, I want to write up a plan, and I want Chiambori to write it. She's not writing anything for me. And if I sit on my hands and wait for her to write something for me, right? Then that's something that I cannot do. Like that's something that if I do that, I'm wasting my time. You know, you have to operate by what's in your hands. I'm gonna try to see if there's an African proverb that goes along with that, but the reality being that, you know, that's where we have to be as a people. You know, so we have to say to ourselves, if we identify the traitors, if we identify the enemies, how can we, the traitors and the enemies of our independence, how do we operate against them? You understand? How do we? Because what happens is that the traitors and the enemies of our independence are having free reign on our continent. You know? And of course, you know, there's the military behind them. Of course, there's, you know, sabotage. Of course, there's this, that, so on and so forth. But we have to understand that because they are operating in plain sight, that we have to organize against them. You understand? And if they're operating in shadows, we have to organize against them, because it's to eternally pursue all traitors and enemies of our independence. And it's a matter of what can we do, what is in our hands to do that. And that's Jean-Jacques Dessalines. So let's see this. It says, never again shall a colonist or a Eurasian set his foot upon this territory with the title of master or proprietor. That was Jean-Jacques Dessalines again. Now again, this is something that you have to realize. This is setting up the nation. Setting up the nation of Haiti. Jean-Jacques Dessalines said, never again shall a colonist or a Eurasian set his foot upon this territory with the title of master or proprietor. You know, and this is the thing that is so bold, so brave. It's saying this, that you can have Wazungu. Wazungu could show up and trade. Wazungu could show up and go to the dancery or whatever, right? Wazungu could show up and eat some food. All right? But to have a title of master or proprietor, no. And this is something that obviously you don't see in Africa. Obviously you don't see in the continent, and of course you don't see in Haiti either, because of what happened after. You understand? When people in Haiti killed Dessalines, you understand, and changed these rules that were laid out by him. Changed the constitution that he had to a constitution that allowed white ownership. You understand? And then, or even if it wasn't in that circumstance, it was when the Americans showed up. You understand? And the Americans, took away that constitution, the constitution that survived. So I think maybe it could have been. I don't recall off the top of my head, but it could have been for over 100 years. No white person could say they had property in Haiti. But then when the Americans showed up, with the Marines and so on and so forth. But that's why you have to always be vigilant against the enemies and traitors of your independence. Do you understand? And the very fact that the Americans can install somebody, that's a traitor. Do you understand? And I'm not to say, and I don't want to say that if you're a leader that shows up at the end of a conflict, that means you're a traitor. No. You understand? It's the fact that because the reality is this, that if you lose a war, you lose a war. You understand? Like if you lose a war, you lose a war, and when you lose a war, there are certain things that there are certain L's that you have to take. Because people talk about reparations. Reparations usually discussed in the context of warfare, right? And what happens is that if somebody attacks you, they then extract your resources. They then tell you to pay for their military excursion, by any means that they so please. Because if you don't surrender, they will continue to war with you until you do. You understand? So that is why you have to be bigger and badder and better than the next man. And if you're not bigger and better than the next man, then forget it. You understand? Forget it. Let's go. I can't remember. I think I did 3. Yeah. Even though this war is great in name, do not consider that the victory will be difficult. Despised enemies have often fallen, and renowned states and kings have at times been conquered very easily. So you already know this is Hannibal Barca. Come on. You already know that's Hannibal Barca. Okay? So Hannibal, obviously, some people are confused about Hannibal's ethnic background, but notwithstanding, this brother, I believe it's a brother. Most evidence points to him being a brother. He's about warfare, okay? So you want to be discussing Hannibal Barca, right? So even though this war is great in name, let's say even though we fight the Romans, do not consider that the victory will be difficult. Don't think just because you're fighting the Romans that the victory is going to be difficult, okay? Because despised enemies have often fallen, all right? And renowned states and kings have at times been conquered very easily. So even the biggest states, you understand? Because look at Vietnam. Vietnam did not surrender to the United States, even though at the time the United States was the world superpower. You understand? Even though at the time the United States was the world superpower, Vietnam did not surrender to that. Like just say, oh, well, we can't win, we're going to give up. You understand? You have to understand that the only way to see if you're going to win a fight is to try. Nobody thought IT was going to win a war, okay, against 3 superpowers. 3 of the superpowers at the time: France, England, Spain. Nobody thought so. But it wasn't simply a matter of we're just gonna give up, we're gonna sit there, we on a plantation, we slaves, we're gonna be enslaved for life. Right? It was, let's do it. Let's fight. Notwithstanding that notwithstanding that your enemy, claims to be this powerful, and I'm not saying they aren't. I'm not saying that they aren't. But at the end of the day, this is what we have to mobilize against. And this is why it's imperative that we get this organizing stuff on point. Because right now, Africa is, like most African people, are in a state of surrender. Are in a state of surrender against the states that are oppressing them. Are in a state of surrender against the states that are oppressing them. Most of us. And what we have to do is this is why I keep emphasizing that we have to have this revolutionary consciousness. Because without this revolutionary consciousness, our people will not understand that we can retake our continent. And make it into something that is worth the travel. Because I wanna say for me personally, like being in the United States or whatever, right? It's not if I were to just give up on the cause, I could still carry out a comfortable existence. Okay? If I were to just give up on the cause, I could still carry out a comfortable existence. Find me a nice black sister, and live out my days in comfortable, I don't want to use the word wealth, but let's say comfortable wealth. Just chill. Got what I need. I got my civil rights. I got this. I got that. I got whatever. Right? I could do that. Technically, if I really wanted to, I could become a politician and give this money and blah 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 blah. Right? But I want for our people all over to have a comfortable existence. I want for our people all over to have independence and freedom. I want for our people all over to be respected and respectable. And by all over, I particularly mean have something on the continent. You understand? Because Because what it's like the example I said yesterday, or Malcolm X brought it up. The Chinese in let's say 50 years ago, right, or 100 years ago. Chinese 100 years ago did not have any respect. You understand? The Chinese didn't have any respect. But it doesn't. That's not to say that if you were a Chinese person, you couldn't carve out a comfortable existence anywhere on the planet, because you can. But in order for the Chinese to globally be respected, in order for the Chinese to sit up in the United Nations and tell the United States, hey, you got to stop abusing your people, right? In order for the Chinese to get into that position, they had to work on their nation. And so now I'm telling you, as an African, you have to start working on your nation. You understand? You have to work on your nation. Because if you do not do that, right? I mean, the reality is this: that like for me, it's not a real L. It's not a real L. But for others, but for most of us, it is. Peace to Bitter Medicine. He's listening. Yeah, Bitter Medicine and I, as well as Harsh Reality podcast and the Queen's Council, right? We're going to be on a joint podcast later. So that's going to be, I believe, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? I'd have to double check if it's Eastern Standard Time, but 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be in like 6 hours, right? So I'm going to have to get some stuff done before that. But all right, so now let's go to the next one. Racial unity reflects the margin of difference that has made it possible for the white man to wipe out the Australian Bushman, and the Amerindian, plus 2/3 of Africa and all of South America. That's Carlos A. Cook. So this is really important right here. So racial unity reflects the margin of difference that has made it possible for the white man to wipe out the Australian Bushman and the Amerindian, plus 2/3 of Africa and all of South America. Imagine that. The Amerindian is gone. The Australian Bushman is gone. The indigenous of South America are gone. And 2/3 of Africa was wiped out very quickly because of this white boy. And yet they're still it's the wolves running the hen house. It's the wolves running the chicken coop. 2/3 of Africans have been wiped out to this day. The average age, the median age for African people is 18. The median age of African people is 18. A bunch of children at this moment. You understand? From stable communities, the median age for a people, just the FYI, should probably be in their 30s. You understand? The median age for people should probably be in their 30s, and it could be in their 40s. I don't know, but the especially if they're living long. You understand? White boy destroyed that. Made it so that a lot of black people are not living to maturity. Okay? And this is something this is the aftermath of years of conquest, years of conquering, years of human depravity. But again, listen to what I just said. The Australian Bushman is gone. The Amerindian is gone. The indigenous of South America are gone. Okay? And most Africans are gone as well. To this day, like if you look at what the population density of the continent of Africa is, right? It's minuscule. In fact, let me see if I can even find the population density of the different continents, because that might, because I don't think they do it by continent. Well, also because a lot of these continents, are naturally going to be empty. But let's see if we can, because most people aren't, whatever. Let's see, population density. Yeah, it looks like Africa's doing pretty well. Well, Europe is really dense, but Africa is. Let me see something. Total population. So Asia is 246 people per mile per square mile, and then Africa is 87. And Europe is 188. Now they say North America is 57, but that's probably because a lot of North America isn't even land that you could use. But the point is that Europe is twice as dense, notwithstanding, and Asia is 3 times as dense. But this is the thing, is that Africa used to have the largest population. You understand? So if Africa used to have the largest population and now its density is minuscule, you know, right here you can see it's 20% of the landmass. So North America, I don't know why North America is so low, but I guess it's because the United States is the only real country of North America. But you know, so right here you can see 542 million. Yeah, but the United States is like 300 million, so you know most of it is not the United States. Whatever. So it's 57. So it's about the same density as America, but then you see Asia 188. Look at Australia though. Look at Australia, 8.3. Wiped out. South America 57, and they had a huge population. Okay, they had a huge population. Wiped out. All right, wiped out. Asia is now 246. This is what the number you'd expect of Africa, right? Europe 188, right? Look at Antarctica. Well, Antarctica obviously, you know, but that's the point, you know. People were wiped out, and they're continuing to wipe us out. And instead of us saying, let's build and let's be independent. Let's do something for ourselves. We're sitting by on our hands, wondering, well, can we preserve the cultures on the continent? Yes, you can preserve the cultures on the continent. Nobody doesn't want you to preserve the cultures on the continent. But what we have to understand is that we have an enemy and we have to organize against them because they are intent on wiping us out. The situation in Africa, as I said yesterday, is a powder keg. Okay? And by powder keg, I mean it's finna explode. Alright? It's finna explode, and when it explodes, you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there because it's like how people were saying, well, coronavirus isn't managed well in America, and it's not. But if it isn't managed well, and people start losing their homes, and people start getting evicted, and people start getting hungry and starving, right? That there would be mass chaos. It didn't happen yet. America's has this leadership that's on the path, but then you have to realize that certain other countries don't necessarily have that, or certain cities in America don't necessarily have that. Certain cities all over the world don't necessarily have that, and because of that, situations can become tense, and they can worsen. So we have to prepare. We have to do for ourselves today, so that we will not be done in tomorrow. All right. Now your problem. So here's it. Your problem is the lack of status. World status should only be yours when you resettle yourself on the continent of Africa, the land of your ancestors. You must build there a government, a racial empire, a hegemony capable of defending and protecting the aristocracy of the black man the world over, wherever he may reside. That's Carlos A. Cook. Now again, like I said, you check out the Book of Power. You can read the whole speech, or you can even check out the Carlos A. Cook's reader, which is on the Discord. You just go on the Discord, say where's the Carlos A. Cook's reader, or you just look at the free book section and you can find it. But this is what I'm saying, because like yesterday, the accusation was, it sounds imperialistic. Yes. Our ancestors, and I'm not just talking about Carlos A. Cook, I'm talking about our ancestors. When they formed Kemet, it was a colony of Kush. Everybody knows this. This is like written in the Kemetic history, right? That they went to Kemet, and even though there was an indigenous population there, they still built a civilization above them. Okay? And not just that, notwithstanding that, you have Taharqa. Like I said, Taharqa conquers parts of Asia. Taharqa conquers parts of Europe. Okay? And he says this. He's proud of it. Alright? And not just that. Every people on the planet say, they had their nature that are African. You know what I'm saying? They have African nature. Like every place on the planet you go to, whether it's Quetzalcoatl, of here in Mexico, or Zeus of Greece, all of them were Africans. You understand? Civilization is something that we do, we bring, we always do this. All right? We are civilizers. That's in our blood. We look to do things and make things right. Now the only issue is that you don't need to necessarily do that for other races, but you must do it for yourself. I mean, technically, yes, you would do it for other nations, but that's another conversation altogether. Because, like I said, it backfires. Or like you understand, it backfires. Greece becomes this civilized people, and then they attack because you can't really civilize. It's like you can't really, like, you can civilize a dog, but you can't really civilize a wolf. You can't really civilize a wolf, or you'd have to, and it'd take a long process to civilize. Like, it was a long process to civilize dogs. Either way, yes, you want to build a government, right? A racial empire, a hegemony, capable of defending and protecting the aristocracy of the black man the world over. And that's wherever he may reside. So that's something that you want to you want to go toward. But short of that, it's all good. You understand? Short of that, it's like, short of, like, that's really the objective. Okay? That is the objective. So if you're saying, hey man, you sound like an imperialist, it's not to say that you want to sound like an imperialist. It's just that the imperialists sound like us. You have to understand that they went and studied our ways. Okay? They went and studied our ways, but the only difference, again, is the, I think it's Utama Wahanzo, something like that, right? But it's the Asili, okay? I say the Asili. The Asili of the Wazungu is different. So while the Wazungu will want to exploit you, right? We are going to build our people up so that we can defend and protect ourselves. That's really the objective. We don't want to mess with the culture. We don't want to mess with the language. We don't want to do any of that stuff. What we want to do is we want to defend and protect our people and give them the freedom to move and do what they have to do. As you're going to see from, make sure you check out yesterday's podcast on what was it? On the brainstorm. Obviously, check out the other podcast on the program. I was listening to Bit of Medicine yesterday, and he was talking about communalism, Pan-Africanism, and it was a great read, right? But make sure but why I mentioned the brainstorm was to say that, because the sister, I was telling the sister, there, that, we tend to migrate economically, right? Like, we tend to do economic migrations, and because the sisters, she's like, hey, our people don't like to move, but she's relocated. You understand? She relocated to another, and technically, and most people, the thing that why people know is that they can make it so that you don't leave after you go there. You understand? If they want to, but it's complicated. But they could work toward it. But the reality is this: that well, she said she went to the UK for university or something, right? We could have those universities on our land, and then our people, all over the continent of Africa will say, we're going to that nation in Africa for the university. You understand? This is, and one of the things that we really wanted to build is a university anyway. And it's all over the Book of Power. You understand? When I say Boko Waset Nakeru, Waset is that university, right? So it's not like, it's just, just make it up. No, this is This is something that this is one of the objectives of our people. So the reality being that if people are migrating for university, if people are migrating for jobs, if people are migrating for opportunities, if people are migrating for material benefits, if people are migrating to survive, if people are migrating for those situations, then we don't have to say, you know what, our people will not move, our people will not migrate, because we know we have a people who are migrating. You understand? We know we have a people who are some of them are killing themselves, or have assisted suicide, if you will, trying to get to Wazungu's land. You know? So we know this is happening. What we have to understand is that if there is a first class nation, okay, if there's a first class nation on the continent, then we could divert that traffic to us. And that's really what it's all about. And as long as we can defend it and protect it, we can move forward as a people. But thank you so much for listening, everybody. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to get ready for the later podcast. But thank you so much. It's been an honor. And of course, Shem Yam Hotep.